Want to thank our sponsor for the post-game coverage this evening, our good friend Brad Van Meter down at State Farm in Des Moines. Give him a call first thing on Monday morning for an absolutely free quote on auto, life, homeowners, renters insurance, and the like. 515-256-6480 is his number. 515-256-6480. You can also visit Brad Van Meter online, www.bradvanmeter.com, or if you're in the metro, give him a holler inside the office there on 4229 Fleur Drive in Des Moines. Again, Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm. Also want to thank RTI Threads. They are with us throughout men's basketball postgame coverage. Owen Freeman, Peyton Sanford, Josh Dix, all part of the spread, all part of the wealth over there at rtithreads.com/NIL. And this is a company proudly supporting the NIL initiative for so many different Hawkeye fans. Visit the website, rtithreads.com/NIL. As we transition to the basketball portion of this show, all right. Let's calm down and let's get situated. I signed up for this. I signed up for this 4 years ago when I started this show with Gary Close. I really don't know what to say anymore. Okay. And this is an Iowa fan base, folks, that is reeling. The women have lost 4 straight. The football team underwhelmed this season and capped it off by blowing another double-digit lead, their third such loss of the season in a bowl game against Missouri. And now you've got the men who have lost 3 straight road games, getting absolutely, I don't even know what the word is, trounced, bludgeoned, spanked, paddled, beat down, burned. I don't even know what the correct adjectives are. Verbs. I don't know. I don't even know what the right words are because this is so incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. I honestly, I didn't even think it was possible. I really did. And I have the text messages to prove it, folks. I will prove it. Last time Iowa did this, 3 nights ago? When they gave up 99 to USC. And by the way, score means nothing. Because UCLA let off the gas with 12 minutes to go in the game? So score means nothing. All right? Nothing. But the last time Iowa did this was 3 nights ago against USC. And I had a good conversation with our good friend Gary Close, who, by the way, is heading back to his home base and should be back with us for men's basketball post-game coverage next week following his trip down south. Glad he was able to spend some time in the warmer weather. But I had a conversation with Gary after the USC game, and I asked Gary, I said, how often does this even happen? How often does this happen? I've never heard of giving up 65% on the road in back-to-back road games, and on top of it, giving up 67% and 68% respectively from three. And they did that. Wisconsin to USC, two teams that neither of those teams are even in the top 25. USC, by some accounts, were struggling. UCLA, by all accounts, had been struggling heading into tonight. And I really didn't know how it was possible that they did what they did in back-to-back road games. And I never even really, this is why I'm so dumb. I never even thought it was, I'd never even toyed with the idea, tinkered with the idea that somehow Iowa could be just as bad, if not worse, 3 days later without any travel involved. They went across town. No travel. Went across town and got absolutely blitzkrieged against a Bruins team that had been struggling, that had been called out by their head coach, that had been 2-4 in the conference. I read through these point totals during the game on my X account. UCLA scored 58 against Nebraska 2 weeks ago. Scored 75 against Michigan and lost by 19 about a week ago. Scored 61 and lost by 18 at Maryland a few days ago, and then scored 68 and lost at Rutgers on Monday. And they came out here against the Hawks today. And again, the score is not indicative of this game. I want to make that very clear. It's not indicative of the game at all. If you watch the game, you know that to be the case. UCLA scored 57 on Iowa in the first half. 57. I don't even know what the final field goal percentage. We're going to get the official box score from the university here momentarily. But I screenshotted some of these totals early. 11 of their first 12, 92% from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. 12 of their first 14, 88, 86%. I stopped tracking it. It was 31-9. I gave up. I gave up. I don't know what to say anymore. And frankly, I don't even here's what's nuts about this. This is going to sound really stupid, but the reality of this is this doesn't really change anything as it relates to their NCAA tournament hopes. Because it's a road game. You can sit here and say it's life in the Big Ten, and to some extent, you're right. But to a much greater extent, this is such a microcosm of what has been an issue for so long. So long. So they could come back and win 2 at home. It could. It's not the easiest pair of home games. We'll discuss it. But they didn't do anything this week out in California that kills their NCAA tournament hopes. But some people will look at what they're doing right now on the road away from home and saying, this team doesn't deserve any postseason play, let alone NCAA tournament play. And I would agree. I mean, if we're looking at how they play away from home, and we're not going to count Sioux Falls, with all due respect to the Hawks, because they played really well up there. That was a home crowd. It just was. It's a home crowd. By the way, there was no crowd out there at UCLA today. Talk about an opportunity to go out there to a blue blood school and steal a game. There was literally nobody in the stands. Did they total 3,000? Maybe 4,000. There was nobody behind the baskets. It looked like a game in Jamaica in late November. That's literally what it looked like. There was nobody there. And Iowa got absolutely bludgeoned. Absolutely bludgeoned. 94-70 is the final score. The final stats, and again, not indicative of the game, 62% for UCLA for the game. I would love to see the 3-quarter stats, right? I wish that they broke it up into quarters like they do the women's game and like they do the NBA. I think that's the right way to do this. I prefer that for both men's and women's, but that's a discussion for another day, because I'd love to look at the stats parceled out, because this was a different game in the last 10 minutes when UCLA let off the gas. And give Iowa some credit, I guess, for fighting, I guess. I don't know do we really want to sit here and try to find moral victories? Is anybody interested in that? 94-70, we're going to talk about a moral victory? I don't know. I really don't know what else to say. We're going to take calls. We're going to talk about it, I guess, as best we can. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody that comes along and tells me how I'm overreacting. And I really am like, I don't know what else to say anymore. And this is what's particularly concerning to me. And I tweeted this out during the game as well. What's particularly concerning to me is the lack of intensity I see from Iowa's head coach in the sidelines. That's what's particularly concerning to me. And I don't know, people have suggested, well, is it a medical thing? Has he been warned about some, heart condition? I don't know. Maybe we can come up with theories. I don't know. I'm not going to assume it means he has no passion for the game anymore. I'm not going to assume that. But what I tweeted very simply in this game was the fact that I watched Fran McCaffrey as his team creates basically 3 straight, not just embarrassing, but undeniably pathetic performances on the road. 3 straight against 3 unranked teams. And I watch him just sit there on the sidelines with very little emotion. And I get it. There's a few times, if you're paying attention to Fran, there were a few times where he snapped, kind of. But this is not the Fran of 10 years ago from a passion standpoint. It's just not. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's medical, if it's medication. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being serious. I really don't know what it is. But I do find it concerning, because love him or hate him, part of what made Fran unique was the passion and the fire. And I have not seen that. And I don't know if you're not going to show it at some point during a 3-game stretch like this away from home. I don't have an explanation. All right, let's go to our phone line. Before we do that, let's go to our phone line. We got Doug. Doug was here very early.
Always am. Can't disappoint, I guess, or maybe want to upset some people. I don't know. Everyone has. Yeah, no, this is the worst 3 games I can remember for the road games. I mean, they just 65% is horrible. I don't know what we can say. You look like you're about ready to say something.
No, I'm just I'm waiting for an explanation.
No, I have no explanation. These are just 3 really bad road games. What explanation can I give you, Corey? I mean,
but is it just when you say it's just 3 really bad road games? Is it? I mean, is that what fans should take? You're a fan, but is that what you take away from this? A 3-game. This isn't like 3 just random games throughout the back to back to back. Like, and I got ripped on social media after I kind of questioned Owen Freeman's comments after the Wisconsin game when he said, well, it kind of got us fired up. This didn't look like it got I have not seen any change defensively.
Yeah.
We thought maybe after what they did against Indiana and Nebraska, okay, but those were home games, like really hard to judge. Since they've been on the road, this 3-game stretch, it's looked like the same thing every night. That's what's unbelievably concerning to me at this point.
Well, I don't want to get demonetized or something like here, but do you know you know who Bob Uecker was? Major League 1, 2. He just passed away. You ever see those movies?
I know who you're talking about. I'm not a baseball guy, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Major League 2 is one of my favorite sports movies. And there's a character named Tanaka. He goes up to Pedro, and he's missing, and he's like became a different person. And he yells at him, and he's trying to translate, and he's trying to say, "You have no," and he goes, "You have no marbles." And I always want to yell at the Iowa team when they go to the road. They have no marbles. I don't know what it is. And,
well, it's not. It's
like
it's one thing to lose on the road, Doug. Yeah. Right? It's one thing to go on the road and lose a lot.
Yeah, they don't do it by 30.
They were down. They were. What was the score at halftime?
Oh, it was like, where's 30?
It was 57-24.
33.
I mean, and I tweeted this out. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, I haven't. Even Licklider,
from anybody in the Big Ten. I don't recall a score like that at halftime of any Big Ten game.
Not of teams that were like supposed to be in the same conference.
No. Anybody in the Big Ten. Show me one example of even during Michigan State's heyday versus the worst of Northwestern teams. I dare you to find a score like. I dare you.
I agree with you. I was saying like when they're playing like them versus like a Summit League team.
Yeah. I mean conference.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like it.
I've never. I don't. I mean, I've never seen. This was the first game where and somebody even pointed this out. First media timeout, I felt like we lost. Like if it wasn't for the fact I don't turn off Iowa games, I would have. Like, and I don't blame any fan that did. Like, that was brutal. And I know there's a lot of things. I'm trying to read the live chat so I don't get off course because there's a lot of historical things I want to say. I know what's really bad is when my dad, we as I've told people, we get tickets to a few games, and he was actually going, "Do you want to go on Tuesday?" That's not usually something we ask each other, and Minnesota is a must win, and but Minnesota. When you said Minnesota is probably one of the three worst teams. One of the things that people aren't talking about, if we do start losing some home games, we might not make the Big Ten tournament. And if he doesn't make the Big Ten tournament, I don't care. This goes for all three of the coaches that don't make the Big Ten tournament. All will be fired any year. So, I mean, and I've been on the Indiana. Those people are delusional. They think they're going to get Scott Drew or somebody like that.
What do you say to the people that say Fran should be fired right now? Well, I'm not saying I'm not the one saying that, but I'm wondering what do you say? Okay.
Well, I'll go back to.
I'm asking.
No.
There's people that have said that. A lot of people responding that way during the game, and it's reactionary. I get it.
No, we played UCLA today, so I'm going to give you a John Wooden quote. John Wooden once said, "You will not get everything that you've earned in this world, but you'll earn everything you get." So he has not yet earned getting fired, if that makes sense. But, sorry, that quote might not make any sense. I might misquote John Wooden. But
okay, so I'm curious, and I'm not saying he should be fired right now. I'm not saying that, but I'm just curious, what does he need to do to be fired? When you're quoting John Wooden, to the fans that say, Doug, you're wrong, he should be fired right now. Beth Getz should call him on the plane ride home from Cali and fire his rear end.
Do a little Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm advocating for that, but I'm asking you, what would have to happen for him to be fired, or is it just it does not happen during the season, even if they tank? What if they go 4-?
He can. Brian was like go. I mean, it depends on what type of person Beth is, and it depends on.
What if they are like 6? And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but 6-14. Does he get fired at the end of the season immediately?
If they don't make the Big Ten tournament, he's fired right then.
All right.
I mean, that would, and I'm the homer. No, you don't make the Big Ten tournament, you're fired right then.
Okay.
I mean, like, as soon as they're eliminated, that would be my point. If somebody's going to ask me when he gets fired, is when they're eliminated from even going to Indianapolis. if they get eliminated from going to Indianapolis, let's say they go on an 8-game losing streak and there's no way they can get to 15th place, he should be fired right then. And that would be any coach in the Big Ten, any program would have that standard. We should not have a lower standard than that. Any program in the Big Ten would fire a coach that couldn't make it to Indianapolis. So
I think they will make it to Indy. I think you think they'll make it to Indy.
Yes.
And I think they'll go back and probably win at least one of these next 2 games. The problem becomes, and you and I talked about this, when they beat Indiana, I said they were playing with house money. Because you're going out to California, you're probably going to play in front of smaller crowds, which they did. You're playing against a couple of teams that, even though USC had that big win against Illinois, they'd not been playing great. And UCLA has not been playing well at all. And so you had an opportunity to go out there and steal one. You were above 500, so you'd think you're playing with a little less pressure. Like, we don't have to account for a loss that we suffered at home. No, we'll go and steal one and get up a mini break. The old tennis analogy is the Australian Open's fully underway that I gave. But instead now they're back under 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're back under 500 as they head back home. And now the pressure is on them to have to hold serve at home. This is exactly like a tennis tiebreak. It really is.
Yeah, they're holding par but again, a lot of you have said the NCAA is not that's like the minimum standard. And they go 10-10. That don't mean that they're going to the tournament. They eventually will lose a home game.
That's what I say. I think I've said this. I think it got to be 11-9.
Yeah,
I think they got to go 11-9 in the conference.
And sorry, I feel sorry for the chat. We're talking about the NCAA tournament, and again. So
they got 11-9.
Yeah,
they
can.
Conversation's relevant because now they're back under 500, and I think you and I both agree they need to be above 500 to feel good about their chances on Selection Sunday without work in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. And historically, Iowa's played like dog manure in the conference tournament, with the one exception being the year where they won the whole thing. Every other year, in general, have they ever won more than one game in the conference tournament under Fran, other than the one year where they won the tournament? No. They've never won more than one game in that event, other than the year they won 4 games in 4 days, which is an anomaly when you look at it on the historical record. It is. Real quick, Lemansky, thank you for the super chat. If Cory ever needed us Hawks to hit the like tonight, folks. Lemansky, thank you. Hit the like button, folks. Right below the video, hit that thumbs up button. It does help. And thank you, Lemansky, for the super chat. All super chats will be prioritized and read during the show. Thank you in advance for that. Go ahead, Doug.
Again, there's nothing I can say that changes how people feel. I don't have any insight. Most of my opinions are probably pretty dumb. But again, these next 2 games against Minnesota and Penn State, I need to see something. And the fan base needs to see something. You guys in the chat need to see something. They need to be a completely different team on Tuesday night. And, luckily for me and my dad, we only have tickets to 2 more games. So one of them is to Wisconsin. So I'm really scared about that one. But again, everything's, like you said, everything's still par for the course. Maybe using a Kyle term there. I mean, they're right where they would need to be. But 3 and 4 is the way they lost those last 3 games. And
here's the other thing about this, Doug. You and I have talked about in the past how Iowa has this propensity to allow teams to get hot early. Yes. And then it's like an avalanche. You have a hard time stopping them. Well, when you give up, when the opponent scores 10 of their first 10 or whatever it was, 11 of their first 11. What was it? What was the final count? Was it 11 of their first 11?
Something like that.
Unreal, unbelievable. I mean, so when that happens, it's hard to stop that. And here's the other thing about that: you allow individuals who are not shooting well to get hot, make shots, and then even when you make adjustments, they're still making contested shots because the rim's a lot bigger. They got a lot more confidence. Here's the other problem, Doug. Now you have teams that are seeing this on tape. Every single time Iowa plays, especially when they play away from Carver, every single time Iowa plays away from Carver, these players they're going up against, they know that Iowa defense sucks. Like, it sucked in the past, but it really sucks now. So we're going to shoot the lights out, and we're going to beat them. We're going to run them off the court. That's the problem. And now you're fighting that as well. So you've got to be even better than what you should have been in the first place to overcome that. And that's you've got yourselves to blame for it.
Well, I wanted to
reputation precedes you.
I wanted to bring up something that was in the chat. I think Bob mentioned this and a couple other people. We don't know do we know anything about Peyton's status? Because that could be a big deal if he is hurt going forward on Monday and next Friday. Next, I always call Iowa the get right game for a team. UCLA was struggling. It's always, and people mention that in chat. It always seems like if you need to get that win, you need to get your offense going, play Iowa, and you'll get out of your group. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and we'll see what happens Tuesday. I understand all of your guys' feelings. I'm right with you. And I hope everyone has a good weekend, and I will probably be on here. Well, I probably won't be on here Tuesday. Well, I'll probably be on here next Friday.
Real quick. No, I just want to let you know. Quite honest, I had an opportunity because these games were in California. I could have been on the post-game press conferences with Fran on Tuesday tonight. I chose to get on the show, get this over with in a sense. I know that sounds bad and unprofessional, but in a sense, I'm like, I don't want to be up until 1 talking about this again.
Yeah.
So I chose the people that cover this in person, up close and personal every day to ask Fran the questions tonight. I trust that they'll ask him about Peyton. I will say this, though, Doug. The question was not asked to Fran McCaffrey on the radio broadcast postgame. Nothing was said about Peyton Sandfort and his status. So I'm assuming, I'm very confident that somebody will bring that up in the postgame press conference, and we should have a Zoom video feed from Hawkeye Report or somebody here very soon, because that's where the post-game press conference was occurring this evening.
Yeah, like I said, if people are wondering when Fran would be probably fired is when Indianapolis is out of the question. So, but who knows? They can win the next 2, and then guess what? They're above 500 in the conference. I don't know.
And at that point, and how much confidence do you have moving after that? Like if they win the next 2, like they did Nebraska, Indiana, how much confidence do you have in their postseason prospects if they go hold serve at home? 0 to none.
They're not. Again, maybe if they get the right matchup with the right seed, or last year Indiana turned down the NIT. If I don't want to go to the NIT again, to be honest with you. It'd be pointless. I don't know. So we'll see how this year goes. But right now, like I've no. If they don't make the NCAA tournament, the first game I might miss as a Hawkeye fan might be that NIT game if they decide to go to that. But that's still meaning if they win 5 more games. I don't know if they'll win 5 more games. So they might not be NIT eligible. We'll see. Minnesota is one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. They got to get Minnesota. Is
that their next?
You'll start seeing me act like some. Anyway, thank you guys.
That's Tuesday night, and then you have no business losing to Penn State at home. So, I was getting the stretch of games confused. They actually have 4 of their next 5 at home, and I got the 2 pairings confused. So the next 2 they have no business losing. Minnesota at home, Penn State at home, but then the next stretch is versus Purdue versus Wisconsin. And by the way, those 2 pairs of home games sandwiched around an Ohio State game on the road in Columbus. So, the schedule is not easy. And this is a conference. I don't think it's the best conference in the country, but I agree with Doug. These next 2 are must wins if we're still talking about the big picture, which I think at some point you kind of have to. All right, let's go to our next caller. We've got Vincent. Vincent, welcome to the show.
Hey, Cory. Good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. I don't get a chance to get on here as much, but I, as always, appreciate the call. And I almost want to sound off a little bit, but you've touched on so many things already. But I'm just going to start out with the embarrassment. Like the embarrassment of this game. I turned it on and it was 29 to 9, And I'm trying to like wipe my eyes thinking, am I really seeing, is this really what I'm seeing? Is a 29-9, 10 minutes into this game or whatever the score was. But point is you can't get more embarrassing than what we saw tonight, what we saw against Wisconsin. And to your point, when you do look at Fran on the sidelines, he almost looks disengaged. There's no, it's almost like he just doesn't even want to be there. You pointed that out in one of your prior shows that I watched later, and I wasn't noticing it before, but I'm certainly noticing it now. But it can't get more embarrassing than what we're seeing. And the point of, okay, should he be fired? Here's a coach that's got 15 years with Iowa. He took us to a Big Ten championship 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I can't remember, was it 2022, 2021, something like that. And then now he's laying these eggs on the bigger stages, and I don't understand it. I don't know if he maybe you said it. I mean, is he just checked out? Is he mentally in Indiana where his boys are? I don't get it. I don't
think that's what, I know that's the popular narrative, and that's the convenient narrative for people to, I think there's something else going on. Whether it is medical, I don't know. It could be medical. It could be, is he on medication? I mean, I really don't know. I think those are all questions, and I'm not asking the media, myself, or anybody that covers the sport up close and personal on a day-to-day basis from Iowa City and the surrounding area. They should not be asking him about medication, but I'm just saying something's not right. And I don't, he's not going to tell you anyways, but he's a different person on the sidelines than he was even a few years
you see it. No, you're right. And you see it. And that would be an explanation. I guess, at least if there were something that were at least, or something that were to come out where they said, hey, he has been dealing with something. Okay, that's understandable. But man, just the Wisconsin game, really, that was your first, wow, like 115-85, a 30, or what was it? A 31-point defeat. We haven't seen that in the Big Ten that I can recall under Fran McCaffrey. Then you get tonight's game, and I'll be honest with you, when we had USC and UCLA back-to-back on the West Coast, I'm thinking to myself, those are both losses. And the reason being is, you just said it a few minutes ago, the Big Ten is not the best conference in college basketball. It's just not. You have the likes of UCLA and USC, which are far more athletic. They have bigger guards. They play faster. They're more physical. They out-physicaled a Big Ten team. So anyway, just to me, I kind of knew it was going to be a loss, but it's how we're losing that's the most embarrassing part, and it just leaves you as a fan scratching your head and then saying, what in the heck is going on? Like, what is going on with Iowa basketball and Fran McCaffrey? And no, none of us have an answer. And then like I said, unpacking a lot. The defense has obviously always been an issue, but for some reason, and another thing that you said, if you need a get right game or a get right team to play to get you off of a slump, Iowa is certainly that team, because we do not guard the three worth of what. It's for some reason, and I know Gary Close has talked about Iowa lives and dies by the scouting report. I absolutely 100% agree with that. But throughout Fran's tenure in Iowa City, guarding the 3-point line has not been a priority for him. And then the help defense and his defensive scheme doesn't work because we can't execute it. What's
the defensive scheme?
I have no idea. I know he says they have a help defense, but what does that mean? And even if that's his defensive philosophy, it certainly isn't effective, because we look like garbage out there playing defense. We're always helping. We're always late. If you look at it, we're constantly late and leaving guys. I mean, just tonight we left guys under the basket so many times because we're playing help and catch up defense. We're always a step or two behind. But again, more importantly, from my vantage point, just as a viewer, we're always leaving the 3-point line open, and we're always trying to rush to close out, and we're always behind. And once a guy gets going or a team gets going, you're not going to stop them. Right. Anyway, I'm rambling. Go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I said earlier. Like, it's a dream scenario for opponents, especially when you're going to their home, because first of all, they already, in a sense, they're already feeling momentum that other teams experience because they see these breakdowns on tape. And for a team like UCLA, it's almost like you've been struggling offensively yourselves, but just watching how Iowa played against your crosstown rival USC on Tuesday, you're like, man, we're already back on track.
Oh yeah,
because this defense sucks. I mean, we're just going to go out there and run what we run and dominate them. And oh, by the way, we're going to out physical them because they're not athletic, they're not big and strong.
Nope.
And that's what I mean. This was at the very beginning, it looked very similar to USC. Like Iowa was making shots. In fact, Iowa, if you look at Iowa's numbers, field goal wise, yeah, they weren't great from the field. They actually shot the three decently well. They actually shot the three better than UCLA did. They shot 9 threes at 24 attempts. They were fine at the free throw line. They weren't like the women, 19 to 25 at the foul line. Now, again, they were not nearly good enough in the first half offensively. Nobody's going to deny that. But, you give up, here's the final numbers for UCLA, 67% from the field in the first half.
67.
67% in the first half. 62% for the game. I don't know what they were in the first 10-minute stretch of the second half, but they weren't much worse than 67%. And UCLA didn't even shoot the three ball well. They scored 94. They only made 8 threes. Iowa actually made more threes than UCLA did, and yet they lost by 24 points. Why? Because everything's at the rim. And by the way, UCLA, if you look at their fast break numbers, they don't get on the fast break. They have 13 fast break points. They don't get on the fast break.
No, they're not that.
They're not.
Nope.
And I mean, the easiest way and I apologize to this caller for I don't get everybody called back. People leave voicemails on the studio line. I would love to be able to chat it up with all Hawkeye fans. I do appreciate everybody that calls in, texts in, but I had a caller here the other day. I think she's a women's basketball fan, and she literally, very humble of her, and I do admire that. She called in, left a voicemail and said, "Hey, I love this team, but honestly, there are so many things about basketball I don't understand. I wish there was a way I could learn. Is there a way?" And she was asking, "Hey, can Kasheen direct me in a good place to where I can go to learn? Is there a video? Is there a book I can read yet?" And honestly, when I watch a game like you did tonight, or the game against USC, or the game at Wisconsin, Gary Close has summed this up very well. There's a very easy way to tell. You don't, terms and these different things, rules aside, there's a very easy way to determine whether a team is playing good defense or not. How many times does the opposition score at the rim and score from three? Yep. And if everything is at the rim or from three, your defense probably ain't getting it done.
Nope.
Did UCLA make a single long two today? Did they make
no. They were actually not very well, or didn't shoot very well from mid-range. Everything, like you just said it, at the rim or an open three, and we were just getting killed with that over and over. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Let's do the math here. So UCLA scored 94 in the game. They scored 44 points in the paint. All right, 44 points in the paint. They scored 8 threes. So that's 24 3-point points. So what are we at now? 68. So we're at 68 of their 94. And then they had 14 free throws. Let's do the math on that then. All right, carry the one. That means 82 of their 94 points were scored in the paint, from three, and at the foul line.
Embarrassing. And this is coaching. This is where we have problems as a fan, or when people say, "Do we have to look at Fran as a coach?" Absolutely. Fran, who's a coach, would say the same thing about an opposing coach. You have to look, because that is all coaching. If you can't get your guys ready defensively, you may not have the height all the time, the quickness, the athletic ability, but you can coach, you can play defense. And Gary Close will say the same thing. You can play freaking defense and at least try to keep your team from getting run off the floor just by playing collective, sound defense. But we just don't do it. And I know Fran has said in the past, does he play defense? Yes, but his concern is more transition offense, keeping his guys fresh for the offensive side of the ball. But this is where it's really now becoming a crutch or a glaring eyesore for the fan watching us, because this is what we see. We see this. Did you hear they were talking with the representative, pardon me, for UCLA. I'm not sure if it was
their AD.
Was it the AD?
Yeah.
And they're talking about the wildfires and everything going on in California, not even knowing what the score was. And he looks down and he goes, "Oh, obviously we're doing very," because it was like 36-10 or some ridiculous score. And I'm just scratching my head like, this is what we're representing for the University of Iowa basketball. This is it. I mean, it just,
and like I said earlier, it's got nothing to do. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to all the people affected by the wildfires. No, nothing,
absolutely.
taking nothing away from that. However, that conversation, like what's ridiculous about that whole series of events is, and we talked about it at the outset, there's nobody in that gym. And if we're just talking purely from a basketball situation, the circumstances, I would have to think favored Iowa. As bad as that sounds, like there's nothing good that comes from the devastation in California right now. But what I'm saying is, as it related to the basketball, there was nobody at that game. This is a blue blood program they're playing that was reeling heading into tonight. Their coach, put all their players on blast with some statements, controversial statements, might I add, about their effort level. And there's nobody in that gym. And then we saw what we saw. I mean, like I said, I've never seen anything like it
never
at Iowa, at the Big Ten level.
Well, not even under Fran. In Fran's first 15 years, I never saw that. And then this year is like this oddity or this anomaly, and we're getting our what's handed to us, and I'm struggling to watch the game. I'm flipping back and forth between that and another program, and every time I flip back, it just looks worse. And I'm like, what are we doing? What is Fran doing? It's not like we don't have good basketball players, because we do. We're not playing any type of solid defense, and what he has put in place is so broken that anytime a team gets rolling, this is what we see. It's an avalanche, and then at the end we're losing by 20, 25 or whatever the score is. It's just, not to keep rambling about the same thing, but it's absolutely embarrassing as a Division I Big Ten program to get your backside handed to you by two different Big Ten teams by 25, 30 points. You just don't see that. You don't see that. Anyway, do you think, I know one question I did want to ask before I duck off of here is, I know NIL, how much of a factor do you think NIL is playing into what Iowa basketball is able to bring in as far as talent and recruits? Do you think that there's just not money there to bring in the recruits, or are we? I just don't know enough on that side of it.
I don't know where they ranked in the Big Ten as far as, I mean, I know we have an idea of where they rank in the Big Ten as it relates to collective revenue, or collective, I should say, not revenue, but money at its disposal. But the problem is a lot of that's devoted towards specific sports, whether it be football, women's basketball, most of it's football. My guess, Vincent, is that they're lower third of the conference in Big Ten, or excuse me, in men's basketball NIL support. I don't know how much of it, like, let's not forget, and I've had years where I've really been impressed with the coaching job Fran McCaffrey has done. I don't want to take anything away from what he's done during his 15 years, because he's had some terrific regular seasons. They won the Big Ten tournament. He's accomplished some good things at Iowa. But let's not forget that he's always struggled to pull in the big names, the big fish. Always. I mean, like, as much as I've liked Fran McCaffrey during much of his career, he missed on Trace Jackson Davis. He missed on Keon Brooks. He missed on Tyler Eulis. He missed on Xavier Foster. Like, I mean, we can just keep going down the line. And I've always credited him for going after the big dogs, the big names. But he's always struggled to land those guys. And he's usually had to fall back on guys like Jordan Bohannon, Brock Harding, Laji Dembele, Josh Ogundele. And he's struck gold on some of them. He has. There's no question about it. The Murray twins, what a couple of diamonds in the rough those kids were. But it's hard to always do that. And so I guess I don't want to blame lack of NIL support because I also think he's part of that. If you're more likable and you win more, like you win in the postseason, the people that have money are going to want to support you. And I think the likableness thing is a factor here. But I also don't know if the lack of money is really doing a whole lot of bad. It's probably not helping, but they weren't landing the big dogs before. So
True.
I don't think it's going to get any better, Vincent. I don't think NIL is going to be the turnaround for Fran in his final years here. I'll tell you that.
Well, what kind of makes me bring that up is the lack of bigs that we've been able to get over the past 4 to 5 seasons. The last true big in my eyes that we had or before oh goodness, his name is escaping me right now.
Freeman.
Before Freeman was Garza. Because the Murray twins were fours.
Yep.
They weren't true centers, but and you saw it so many times.
They brought in Ben Cricky from Valparaiso. They brought in Rebracha from North Dakota. And
but those guys are 6'8" playing out of position in my opinion. Like, but as far as a true big, for me, what's critical is it's not just defense. And again, I'm still unpacking here, but you look at the offensive rebounding in general for Iowa. It's so bad. Like when you see UCLA, for example, get 3 to 4 different opportunities on an offensive rebound because we just can't collect a ball or collect a rebound. You're thinking to yourself, where we don't have the size even to compete with some of these bigger schools because UCLA has some girth down below. They weren't incredible. These aren't 7-footers, but these are guys that are 6'8" to 6'10".
Same with USC.
Wide bodied. We don't have the rebounders that in the past that we've had. And it's another thing that you're seeing with this year's team. Like I don't know. It's so anyway, that was what my question was with NIL is there just not the support for men's basketball that there's funds available for that. And I wonder if that's causing an issue. I'm not trying to, I know this is a basketball show. I'm not trying to get into football, but I'm still incredibly confused by the Gronowski signing. I know I watched your video. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just to tell you, I'm not saying you can't say what you want to say, but I'm going to announce something very soon. Actually, tomorrow we're going to have a special live show with Coach Patterson. So,
okay.
We're going to have a special live show tomorrow afternoon.
I just don't know. I guess that's, and the NIL is what makes me bring it up is we go and sign a guy. I don't know if the reports are accurate or not of us spending $1 million or close to it. I see you kind of half smiling. Is there some truth to that?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I'll keep on moving. But my point is, we bring in a guy for a undisclosed amount of money who has 1 year of eligibility. And for me, I'm thinking, why wouldn't we try to utilize those funds for somebody who can give us a couple or 3 years? But we're bringing in our guy can bring us 1 year that's not even going to be available until summer ball or until June, when spring or already into spring practices or the spring regimen. I'm shaking my head. I don't know why we would emphasize going after and spending that kind of money for a 1 year guy. I don't. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, kick it off here. I'm rambling. Should Fran McCaffrey? I'll just ask you this in closing. Do you think if Fran ends up with this season tanking, should he be gone? And
Yes.
If he were, would you be surprised or upset by it?
No, if he doesn't make the tournament, he should be done.
Okay.
He should be done. I don't
even with all he's done in 15 years, you think he should still be out the door? Because I actually agree with you. I don't disagree, but you're going to have those fans that are going to say, almost like Kirk, well, look what his body of work has done over 15 years.
He's not as charming as Kirk. He doesn't have the base that Kirk does.
Granted.
Kirk will have like our guy from Michigan, Cory from Michigan, that just worships the ground that Kirk walks on. There's a lot of people like that. Fran doesn't have that. Fran has not been as warm and fuzzy. And
Well, if we keep getting performances like we're seeing, and we're sitting in the bottom, bottom 2 to 3 spots in the Big Ten when the season ends, I think just unless there's something like you said earlier, unless there's something unseen that the common fan doesn't know about, or even the media is aware of, that's a contributing factor to that. If it's just, Fran's result of how he's done his coaching this year, then yes, absolutely he should, they're told thank you, give him a T-shirt and a hat, and say,
they don't win the tournament. If they don't win the tournament, he should be done.
Send him on his way, and then let's get something else in that, because there's other opportunities out there for these younger coaches, and there's going to be someone out there that is going to look at Iowa as a good landing spot. But other than that, Cory, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Vincent. Appreciate it, sir. Sam, thank you. Sam Corbin, thank you for being a premium subscriber, Sam. Why do we not attempt to play defense? Well, there's an attempt. How good of an attempt? Yeah, that's a question for someone smarter than me, I guess. We're going to get Gary back on here, folks. Gary's been on vacation, but he's returning home, so that'll be fun to get Gary's take on all this. Iowa 0-6 now in quad 1 games. Minnesota and Penn State are both quad 3, which makes them, yes, drill MVP. They're both must wins. Iowa, Minnesota's a must win. Iowa, Penn State must win. DC Hawkeye, thank you, sir, for the super chat. Train wreck. Live and die by the 3 when you don't have a defense or inside game. It don't matter how well Iowa plays offensively. You're not winning with the defensive performances that we've seen against Wisconsin, USC, UCLA. You're not. You're not scoring 100 away from home, nor should you have to, nor is that reasonable. But fair, point taken, DC Hawkeye, and I really do appreciate your super chat. Thank you for being here. Anyways, okay. Amanda reminding everybody, click that like button if you are at a loss for losing. So click that like button, folks. Our RTI Threads player of the game tonight, Josh Dix, 19 points, 7 of 11 from the field. That dude can ball. He was the only guy, in my opinion, that played well tonight. The only guy. I don't even think Drew Thelwell played well tonight. And he's been a sure thing in every single game, at least that I've seen. Josh Dix, 19 points, 7 of 11. He is efficient, and I couldn't help but think to myself during the second half, man, that guy would look really good for somebody. He looks really good for Iowa, but he could really help a good team. Hopefully that can turn into Iowa. Right now, they are not a good team. They may be an average team. They're not a good team, without question. A good team does not. Good teams don't do what they've done in 3 straight games on the road. Folks, again, if you have not yet shopped RTI Threads, you can check out Josh Dix's apparel over at rtithreads.com/NIL, and you can check out his personalized logo, his personalized merchandise and gear, and it's his official merch line. Check it all out, rtithreads.com/NIL, and while you're at it, you can browse the apparel and merch lines of Owen Freeman, Peyton Sandfort, and the Iowa baseball team. Check it all out, rtithreads.com. Use the /NIL or click the link in our description. The Iowa men losing 94-70 at the hands of the UCLA Bruins. Let's go to our Iowa basketball junkie, Tony.
How you doing?
Tony, you're not even wearing the From the Hawkeye of the Storm merch. You're mad at everybody.
No. I actually did order some RTI Thread stuff.
You're the man. You are the man.
Dix from the logo.
If people want to know how to be like a bring your teacher an apple type of From the Hawkeye of the Storm supporter, just observe Tony Schneider. Go ahead, Tony.
Dix from the logo. They almost have it. It looks like, everyone's from Iowa knows Ray Gun. It almost looks like a Ray Gun shirt. And then it has like a Josh Dix, like, I don't know, like a little emblem or logo that's below it. And then I got like a Owen Freeman trucker hat and a Peyton Peyton Sandford tumbler. That was a tongue twister. I didn't think it was that bad. They said I called them. Great customer service, like almost everyone you work with.
Yep.
I called them the next day because I ordered it after that last post game we had. And I said, hey, I actually might be coming down. Is it possible like I can pick it up because I'm not too far from you guys? They said, well, actually, the trucker hat comes from someplace else. We already have your shirt and tumbler, but you already paid for it. Don't worry. It'll be there middle of next week.
There you go.
So,
yeah, they're great. So you're in good hands there. And it's great gear. I mean, it's really great gear.
Yeah, because they said they custom print everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just mass.
If you're from the Siouxland, RTI. RTI, they don't mess around.
Yeah.
They don't mess around. Drive up I-29.
Yeah, they've got big billboards and everything. Did you come up that way when you came here or not?
I did, yeah. In fact, I stopped into the RTI Threads store there, their new store. They got a Bob and Ellen's restaurant next door, which is owned by the RTI parent company, and
it's literally right off the interstate.
29, yeah,
it's right off the interstate. One thing I did want to say, a couple things. Number one, I did want to correct you. Penn State is definitely a quad 2 game, and it's not even close to being a quad 3 game. Penn State is that good in the net rankings. They are like 48th.
Still a must win though.
Oh, must win. Both of them. No, I agree. They're must wins. I'm just saying they're not both quad 3 games. Like, they're a ways away from even.
Minnesota is a quad 3 though.
Minnesota is definitely a quad 3. There's 2 games we absolutely cannot lose, and it would be Minnesota and Washington. We play both of them at home. Those are the absolute.
Penn State. They can't lose that.
I mean,
game.
They can't lose. No, I'm saying, but I mean, they can make up for it in other ways. They cannot make up for losing to Minnesota and Washington. I'm just saying they can make up for losing to Penn State if they win at Ohio State. That's more where I'm going at. Like, an Ohio State win at Ohio State's not going to erase how bad losing to Minnesota and Washington are. Those 2 teams are clearly the bottom of the Big Ten. I know people in the chat have said, well, Minnesota just beat Michigan last night. Yeah, they did. On a half-court 3-pointer at the last second, it was desperation that looked like an awful shot from Darson Garcia. Yeah, they did, but this was a winless team going into last night that required a desperation 3 to win their first game in conference play. Everyone says they're the worst team in the Big Ten. Washington is the second worst Big Ten. Oh, what was that? I don't know. Huh? I heard something echoing. Anyways, Washington's cleared the second. Man, my thing's echoing.
Are you hearing?
I'm hearing echoing in my. Are you hearing me echo? I just stopped talking. But anyways,
real quick.
Maybe I'm hearing things. Go ahead.
Mark, thank you for the Venmo donation. Appreciate that, Mark. He says, and I quote, "It will get better."
Has to.
That is Mark, and I won't say his last name because it was on Venmo. But
did you want any? I was in and out of the backstage because I went to listen to the press conference. Was there anything you wanted notes on from that press conference?
Are you or Tom Kakert tonight? I didn't have.
It was his video. He put it on the YouTube, and I listened to his video on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, the only 2 things that I would say that probably anyone really cares is Peyton. He's pretty sore. Had the situation in the first half where he got hit in the family jewels, went down, and then it appears the second one was a re-aggravation of some type of shoulder injury. It doesn't sound like it's the same reactivation of that. Like, it's the same reaggravation that maybe cost them a game. It doesn't sound like it's too.
They should be able to beat Minnesota without him.
Yes, 100%. 100%. They should beat Minnesota without Peyton State.
But Minnesota just won. Minnesota just won
at home. They're not there. This is Carver. This is a game at Carver. We've said. I mean, like you can't take away the road games. You can't take away the piss poor performances on the road. You can't do that.
No, you can't.
But what?
No, you can't. You're right.
You can't take it away. But if you just look at how they play at Carver, they played who some people might even consider a national title contender down to the wire and almost beat them for 37 minutes.
I knew somebody was going to spin this.
Well, no, I'm not spinning. No, I'm not spinning. I'm just saying. I'm just talking about this is game at home. You can't lose. That's why I'm saying is you can't lose. This. I'm not spinning this at all. I'm still saying, and I have still held firm. If he does not make the NCAA tournament, he's gone after this year. End of story.
How do you respond to the people that say fire him on the way home?
what does that look like for?
It's not a good idea.
No, I know. I just don't even know how to respond to it because why not just
if they think Matt Gatens is if they think Matt Gatens is like the only way you do that is if you really believe Matt is the next head coach and you believe Fran is done after this year anyways, then sure. I don't know that there's any.
The only way I'd say that is if there's enough money behind closed doors to say, look, if we fire Fran and we hire Matt Gatens, all of these people are coming out of the woodwork and saying, yep, we're going to double our NIL donations, blah, 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 blah. And here's a fat check to write to Fran Go. I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think Gatens is the answer. I'm not saying Gatens is the answer. Well, I'm just hypothetically saying, Stalver in the chat's like, no, Matt Gatens. I'm like, I'm not saying Matt Gatens is the answer. You were just hypothetically saying, no. Now, do I think that it's a possibility? I don't know what percent you want to put on it. Do I think it's a possibility that there are closed door conversations going on and that money is being raised behind the scenes to get rid of them? That's possible. It could be happening right now as we speak. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that is a possibility.
Hey. You said something. You made your dog mad.
He just wants to, here. You can talk. I just want to let him out. It's the door's 2 steps.
Go ahead, let him out. Todd, we'll bring you back, Tony. Todd says, I will watch the Hawks through the ups and downs. With that, it's time to move on to a new coach. Fran just doesn't care. Go Hawks and hit the like button. Corey, I love your show. Well, Todd, thank you for liking the show, for liking the video, and for your support of both the Hawks and this show. It does mean a lot. And let's see. Michael thinks that Tom will retire. All right, Tony. Before I let you go, and if you've got anything else, you're welcome to chime in here. But I want to share real quick because you brought it up. All right, you brought it up, and I was going to share this later. Anyways, here is the RTI Threads website, and if anybody hasn't checked this out, you can do so. Link is in the description. But Tony, you said you purchased something related to Josh Dix, Owen Freeman, and Peyton Sandfort.
Correct.
But what did you say you bought?
That one, I want to buy. It's either that first one right there, Dix from the logo. Yep. Okay. I forget whether. I mean, I obviously didn't get the little kids one. I got but I mean, I forget whether I got the black or gold one. I think I got the black.
Folks, this is all custom gear. This is not just like some rando third website making their own stuff, trying to profit off these kids. This money is going straight to the athletes, and this is custom premium gear from a great company over in the Siouxland, RTI Threads. By the way, I've got this mug from RTI Threads, and it's a great, great coffee mug. Just thought I'd mention it. Engraved.
So I'm getting the Peyton Sandfort one of that.
Okay, you'll like it.
Peyton Sandfort.
I don't know if you're a coffee guy, but you'll like the mug.
I'm not a coffee guy, but I'm a cold drink guy.
Yeah, it'll work. And they got stocking caps time of year as well. Great Hawkeye themed stocking caps, and the quarter zips are awesome. Half zips, it's all great. And again, you can customize color, browse the different logos, and support all these teams. Support Iowa football, Iowa baseball, Iowa basketball, and I hear there may be Iowa women's basketball here coming very soon. But again, rtithreads.com, click on the NIL athletes tab, or just go to the link in our description, rtithreads.com/NIL.
So do you have plans to go to any games in person the rest of the year?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Let's see. What games will I be at? I'm going to be either the Wisconsin or they play Michigan State at home.
Yes, that's like end of the year.
I'm at one of those games, I believe.
They play Michigan State on a Thursday night and Wisconsin's on a Saturday. So,
and I believe I'll be at least one or two more women's games as well.
That was the next question.
I'll not be at the Caitlin Clark jersey retirement.
Yes, if you had to take out a loan to get a ticket on that, it looks like holy cow.
If I had known, let me just say, if I had known that they were retiring her jersey prior to the season, because that didn't get announced until during the season, correct?
I thought they said they were gonna do it, but they just didn't know when.
Yeah, and so if I'd known that, I may have requested credentials before the season started, but at this point, I'm not.
So you can't, like, for them, they won't even let you get press credentials mid-year.
That's a good question. I can tell you the communications department is very good about making sure deadlines are followed. Okay. So there are deadlines on those things. I don't know how. I haven't asked. I have not asked. It's not that urgent for me or that pressing. So I haven't asked. You might be able to squeeze something out, but that's going to be an event. I'm sure there's going to be national media that are there. You know, there's going to be national media taking up press row. So my guess is there won't be room in press row.
Because that's against USC and Juju Watkins.
Yeah, there's going to be USC. I would be shocked to see the USC people up here for that.
Yeah, any of the LA people. I don't even think.
Real quick, Carey, thank you for reminding us of this. Shout out, because oftentimes you get a home game around this event.
I was going to say, usually they do. That was shocking that they didn't this year.
Well,
I mean, I guess Tuesday, 2
days after. So my guess is maybe there'll be some sort of a remembrance during that broadcast. What channel is that game on?
Give me 1 second. I can get it for you.
I got it in front of me. It's on Big Ten. So my Big Ten Network normally does a good job of that. So
yeah, and you'll get a lot of post game and pre game coverage with them.
And we'll probably get I'm sure they'll probably play the special. What was that called?
Forever a Hawkeye, or like Big Ten the Journey, but I think it was like they interviewed Coach Close on that one.
Yep. So that will be the anniversary of Chris Street's passing is Sunday, 32nd anniversary, and then their home game on Tuesday against Minnesota.
What was the one thing? I mean, a lot of things that was at like a general theme. 4 of the answers, the questions were very similar. Of like, we've told them what to do. We think they're simple mental mistakes. We think if we can just clean that up, it'll be fine. Like you can't let teams get comfortable, and we just think. I
don't think it's simple.
Tony, I'm just telling you what Fran said. So,
well, if you don't spend time, if you don't invest the time, and by the way, invest is the right word to use because it is an investment of time. Yeah, like coaches, you can't just turn it on. Especially if you don't have elite athletes. You can't just turn on defense.
No.
You might be able to for small stretches of time. Go see Nebraska second half. Go see Indiana. Small stretches of time. But does it carry over to the road? And is it something that you can sustain quarter to quarter, half to half, game to game?
The one thing I will say is you can turn it on from time to time if you're an elite defensive team, like an Iowa State or UCLA tonight. But we're talking about a bad defensive team. A bad defensive team.
And Iowa's horrendous on the. They're not just bad; they're horrendous. By the way, Ken Palm's defensive.
Oh, I saw it. It's down to like 155.
Iowa's 155 in the country in defensive efficiency. The only other teams that I can see in the top 100 overall of Ken Palm that have that bad of a number next to their defensive efficiency is Villanova. Villanova is 174. How they're number 50 in Ken Palm, I have no idea. They got a good offense. 174 in defensive efficiency. You mentioned Rutgers.
Rutgers is 104.
104. There's nobody. Is there anybody else?
Seton Hall is 112.
Ironically enough,
here's a funny one. You want to listen to this one? Southern is higher than us.
Yeah, it's.
I did want to say, just as other basketball news that I saw, that yes, we are the most depressing thing today, but the second most depressing thing, stat-wise, Green Bay, Milwaukee, or Wisconsin, Green Bay, where Doug Gottlieb is at.
Yep. They
were up 9 at half. They gave up a 26-0 run to start the second half. 26-0.
Who were they playing?
Robert Morris.
Okay. It's a good program.
At home.
Okay. Gottlieb's in over his head.
He is.
Can't keep doing the whole radio show and coaching.
When I heard that he was trying to do radio show, I'm like, you can't just step into coaching and just say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to do it part-time and be able to beat all these grinders out there. Like in the Horizon League, those guys are grinding to get high major jobs.
Yeah.
Like he's not just thinking he can just step in and that thing's going to blow up in their face. I don't even know if that makes it to next year. That's not good. So, are you going to be here Tuesday, I'm guessing?
That's the plan.
Okay. And then what's women's game Sunday?
Will you be here for the women?
I don't know. It depends if I have to. I'm like on a kind of on-call schedule at work. I've told them I'm not working any more days where the Iowa men play because that's when my number one allegiance.
As the Iowa men get worse, you become more invested.
No, this is just due to moving. We're kind of like in between. We're like, we still got to pack our house and stuff like that.
Hey, by the way, has there ever been a worse stretch? I'm sure there has been, but think about this. 4 straight Iowa women's basketball losses, 3 straight road losses for the men, all of which have been
awful
spankings, like bare bottom spankings. I don't know that I've ever seen anything.
Yeah, Kyle asked, he said, when was the last time we had a season like this? And it was 16-17. Because he said, when was the last time we had a season where both the men and women, you can say pretty much the season's over at the midway point.
Who said that?
Kyle.
Who?
Kyle Spence Golf in the chat right at the beginning.
What?
He said, when is the last time that there's been a season where we can say midway through that the Iowa men's and women's teams are done?
Well, he's wrong on that.
Well, I'm just answering the question. I'm just telling you the last time.
Listening, Kyle, you know I love you. You're wrong. They're not done. They're not done. Nothing.
It looks very low. Nothing. I mean, we can still.
Men are a half game below 500.
And all they've done is lost road games. They can still reach your 11-9 goal easily. And
by the way, the women go out and beat Oregon and Washington. They're right back in the conversation.
Yeah. You said what? Iowa had 4. You said Iowa has 4 or 5, right? 4 of their 5 next home.
The men have 4 of the next home.
Yeah. If they go 4-1, they're back in it.
It'd be hard to do that though, because one of
those
games.
They're playing Purdue and Wisconsin. I'm not saying it's easy, but if they go, so you have the easy 2 cupcakes, Penn State and whatever. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Real quick, Tom. I'm only putting on you here for a second, and then I'm going to get rid of Tony, and you and I can. You said in the chat they're done. They are not done. You can say you think they're going to be done, but at this point, they've not played their way out of contention for anything.
You're right. Fran can pull his way out of it.
He can.
You're right. He can.
You're just saying he won't.
Things don't look good.
I don't think the body language looks good. I agree. I think there's a lot of.
I'm getting rid of Tom because as soon as I had Tom in, your picture went real blurry.
I know. I saw. Well, it was my drunk vision, and I'm not even.
Is it that camera that I recommend you get?
It is. I'm telling you, Cory. I don't know what it is.
Do you like the camera in general?
Yeah. And now see, it's like perfect HD picture. I don't know what it is. Oh well, my dogs want my attention, so yeah. I'll stop and listen, and I'll talk to you Tuesday. Hey,
appreciate it, sir.
No problem.
Always appreciate your support. All right. Carrie in the chat says leadership starts at the top. We currently have a lack of direction and guidance for this team. So let's give everybody a brief recap as it relates to the box score. I have not been really recapping these games because they've been so difficult, to say the least. By the way, actual attendance, the actual countable attendance from the NCAA box score for the game tonight at UCLA, 5,298. And is that how many people were actually there? I doubt it. Peyton Sandfort leaves the game after going 0 for 4 from the field. So he was not playing well prior to his injury. Did not return. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. Owen Freeman only shot the ball 3 times, only played 21 minutes. 11 points for Freeman, 3 turnovers, 3 rebounds. Got called for 3 fouls as well. Was perfect at the foul line, 5 of 5. Brock Harding, 8 points, 5 assists, 5 turnovers, 3 rebounds, 2 of 7 from the field. Drew Thelwell was quiet, 7 points, 4 turnovers, 2 assists, 1 of 2 from 3. Josh Dix was the player of the game, our RTI Threads player of the game. 19 points, 5 of 7 from 3. 5 of 7 from 3. This guy can ball. RTI Threads player of the day. He actually looked good. It wasn't just good compared to the rest of the team. No, he was good tonight. And no surprise, he led the team in minutes played. Price Sanford played 27 minutes, 7 points for Price. 0 for 4 from 3, though. Seydou Traore, they tried to give him, they gave him 19 minutes and still struggling offensively. 1 of 5, maybe got his feet under him a little bit defensively there in the second half. 5 points, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, and they need him. He just can't shoot right now. I mean, he can't give them anything offensively, which is disheartening. Ladji Dembele also not giving them anything again. He's right back to giving them what he was prior to the Iowa State game. It's bad. He gave them, let's see, Ladji finished 11 minutes played, 5 points, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. And Riley Mulvey came in, played 13 minutes. Actually played more minutes than Ladji. 6 points, 2 of 4 from the line, 2 of 2 from the field. Carter Kingsbury played 8 minutes, did not score. Chris Taggio played 3 minutes, did not score. Evan Bronze played a minute and a half, did not score. Hawkeye shot 48% or 45% from the field, 38% from 3, 76% from the foul line. But the Bruins shoot 66% in the first half from the field, 46% from 3. They shoot 62% from the field for the game, make 8 threes, and win by 24, and it wasn't even that close. They dominate the Hawkeyes in the paint, 44-22. In second chance points, they were +8 in that category. And they were also better with the ball, although that stat evened out. Actually, Iowa was just -1 in that stat, but Iowa turned the ball over way too much early. First half turnovers were a problem. The Hawkeyes finished the first half with 12 turnovers to UCLA's 3. 12-3 in that category. Wow. All right. I guess that's all for stats. I don't really know what else to look at here. Seems like deja vu. Let's go to James, who's been waiting on hold. James, welcome.
The first question I have, and sorry, I've been absent. I have a busy schedule around this time, so I have a lot going on. So I try to catch up as much on the shows as I can. But and I catch up on every show. I try to leave a like when I can. And I don't watch a lot of games, but I can follow it, and I watch enough part of it, or I'll see the box score, kind of understand just the way I am, and I watched Iowa long enough to understand what's going on when I look at the box score and all that stuff. But one question I have with what's been going on both sides, this is men and women's question, right? Where's the leadership at, right? It doesn't seem like a leader is stepping up. And that's something that you're always worried about, right? Like Peyton should be that guy who should be stepping up on the men's side, right? Where it's like Peyton needs to be that leader. He's been a senior. He's been there. He's been through this. But it doesn't seem like you get that leadership from him, right? It just seems like he doesn't lead by example, right? He doesn't really, you don't even see a vocal leader out there, really. Like, not saying something's going wrong. You obviously don't want to show, I mean, showing emotion is not a bad thing too, but you don't want to get frustrated. Right? You can show emotion, but don't get frustrated where you get too frustrated, then you make bad plays, so you get frustrated, if that makes sense, right? But showing any emotion at all, you don't see any emotion at all, and that's kind of not a good thing.
I think that's the statement of the night, James. I think you hit the nail on the head. Best comment anybody's made all night. Me, fans, whatever. Leadership on both of these teams. That's the common denominator of what I believe from the outside looking in, what appears to be missing for the men's team and the women's team this year. It appears that there is a huge void of leadership. Some of it may be off court. Some of it may be on court. It appears there's really good people that we would expect to be good leaders like Peyton Sandfort, Sydney Afalter. But where is it at? Because these are the types of things, especially when they happen consecutively, concurrently, that one would think good leadership could step in and slow down. I don't know. Make some sort of a change. I haven't seen it.
It's like you also said too, like it's more consecutively is what worries me. Because like, yeah, you might play well and you have one bad game, and then you get back to normal and it's kind of okay, it fizzles out, right? You have bad games here and there, right? But once it becomes a consecutive thing, or you see a lack of effort. It's not really effort, but like a lack of they don't show the intensity on defense. Obviously, they never have really coached defense. Obviously, but just even trying to make an effort on defense sometimes is what really be making me mad with the men, right? It was like sometimes it didn't seem like they're making an effort really on defense, right? Like they're not even trying to get a steal. They're not even trying to make the extra play. They're not trying to slide over. Sometimes like all they gotta do is slide over and just maybe try to contest it. And it might be a miss, right? And they don't even try to do that, right? And it's like just the simple little things. And it's just like you're a Division I basketball team at the Big Ten level, and you're missing so many little things. And it's just like I don't get how you miss those things as a Division I team, especially at not even Division I team at Big Ten level, right? It's like those are things that should have been harped on. And you said earlier athletically, right? And obviously we're compared to most Big Ten teams, we're probably out athletic we're probably out. Like, we don't have the athletes as other teams do, right? And we know
They
that,
got
right?
they got completely bullied this week in
Yeah.
both of these games.
But I'm just saying, like, overall, we don't really have the athletes. Like, obviously, Tajo, I think, is, or not Tajo, Traore, obviously, probably is one of our probably most athletic guys we have. But I'm saying, like, in general, compared to everybody, we don't have the athletes. That's kind of something that happens when you do recruit Iowa. And, like, as much as I love Iowa basketball, sometimes it does happen. But it's also like, as part of Fran's situation, right? You have to recruit different kinds of styles of players, right? But he recruits all the same kind of style of player. And I'm not trying to make this a Fran thing, in fact, of like, whether I agree he should be fired, whether I don't agree he should be fired. That's not here nor there at this time, right? I don't think I should be whatever. I mean, we all have our own opinions on that, right? Like, that's people's opinions, and that's their own opinions to, talk about, right? But for me, it's more like he recruits shooters, and that's what he recruits. And it's like, it hurts you. Like, sometimes you want to recruit a little bit of defense, you want to recruit shooters, but like his doesn't do that. And this team not making the tournament, which is what I predicted at the beginning of the year. I know that sounds bad, but I just didn't think this team was that good because I knew they didn't play defense, and I didn't see, and I know how streaky Peyton can be, right? As watching him play for years, I knew he could be streaky, so he's not going to be on every game. You didn't know what you're going to get from Thelwell. I'm not saying we got anything bad from Thelwell. I'm just saying I didn't know at the beginning of the year what I get from Thelwell. I didn't know I was going to get from Traore, right? So for me, I was like, okay, I don't know if this team's really a tournament team at the beginning of the year, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get from those guys, and I thought I'd get more from Owen than what I have been getting, if that makes sense, right? But it's just tough because it's like you don't want to see this team not make the playoffs or not make the tournament. And I do agree with you. But I think Fran's done for this year anyways. Whether he gets fired or retires, this is what I think. I think he's going to retire at the end of this year anyways. But it's just tough to see, and tough to see him go out this way, right? The fact of, like, whether you're a Fran fan or not, you just don't want to see any coach go out this way, right? And, like,
Very few head coaches get to hang it up when they're ready, though.
yeah, no, but I mean, I would like to see him at least go out with it. If he was going to retire, if this was going to be there where he did retire, if he retires and goes out, if you get fired, that's different, right? Then you're having a good year. But if
Well,
you retire,
if you get forced out or you decide you're done, I mean,
no, I know, but if you retired, I would like to see him at least make the tournament, whatever happened, right? They at least made it there, right? Like, that would have been, I feel like, maybe cooler for me at that point is what I meant, right? Like, at least making the tournament, I feel would have been really cool for me if he just said, oh, I'm done after I made the tournament, whether they made it first round. Now, obviously, I would have been mad if they lost in the first round, right? As a fan, I would have been mad if they lost in the first round, right? But I'd be like, okay, he made it there, right? Kudos to him as whatever, this is the last every year coaching a head coach level, right? A head coach at any level, right? Like, kudos to him, but it doesn't look like that might happen. That might not happen. I don't think it will, but you never know. You know how basketball works out. You can go on a streak here, but it's just frustrating to see both the men and the women losing 4 in a row. I don't think I expected, obviously, and I know some of those games are probably games they should have won, and it's tough to see. But they're young, and in aspects they're young of, like, having to play Guyton, having to play Stremmel, having to play Mulaney, having to play, And I'm not saying they're all good. They're all good in their own way. It's just they have young, but they're like they don't really have a middle, right? They're very old and very young at the same time, right? They don't really have a middle. They're more of a, like, old young team, if that makes sense, right? They have both of those, but no, it's just interesting. It sucks to lose, and you can't lose any more really home games anymore now with what you've been doing on the road, and that's what scares you too, right? You have to kind of win everything at home, and
they got a big opportunity. First of all, next 2 games are must wins, and
yeah.
then can you go out to Columbus and steal one? That's going to be another big game.
Yeah, and
Every
that's
game's
tough.
here on
That's
out.
that's the bad thing about losing games, especially losing the way you have. It's not even losing games too; it's the way you have getting boat raced, right? And it's like it doesn't seem like they're even in a game, right? And, like, obviously, I feel like getting boat raced sometimes makes it feel like, okay, it's not like we just got outmatched. But when you get in boat race multiple times, it's like, okay, what's going on now, right? Like, if you get boat race once in, like, 20 games or whatever, right? You're like, okay, we got outmatched this game, right? Like, they just had, like, if the Wisconsin game happened and they bounced back from that, it would be like, okay, they understood whatever was happening, they try to fix, but that's not what's going on, right? Like, it's like that, and then you see these kind of things where it's like teams just keep piling it on. It's just frustrating, but I
As
just
I
want to give
said,
him my 2 cents. And more of the leadership was kind of more of the point I was trying to make, just so the leaders. I feel like there's no leaders there, and I feel like there's 2. And you said the 2 obvious names. I was thinking 2 on both sides, men and women, of 2 people that should definitely be leaders in each program. And I feel like not getting it from those people I did. And girls, I understand too, but they had Caitlin, who was a leader for what, 3 years, right? She was the vocal leader for 3 years, right? And you don't have that, so that one's a little bit different. Where it's like some people don't know how to because they haven't had to, right? But Peyton kind of had to be that guy where it's like he should know kind of how to be a leader because he kind of had to do something last year a little bit, right? And I know he had other pieces there too, right? Patrick and right, but like I don't know how much leadership those guys did, especially Patrick. He was away from the team for a while, right? So I don't know how much leadership he really was on that team either, too, right? And I know his dad was a coach and all that stuff, right? But for me, it's like Peyton kind of should have done a little bit of leading last year, so he should be used to kind of having to be a leader this year, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, James. I'm guessing we'll talk to you Sunday. I think the women are going to go out to Oregon and they're going to win. How about that?
I hope so. It'd be a good win for them to get back on the right track. And I look at your stats right now. I see you say 82 of 94. 82 and 94 points in paint. And that's frustrating too when you have the thing of like the points in the paint shouldn't be happening when you have an Owen down there. And I get you're gonna have some in here and there, but they should when you have an Owen Freeman who I thought coming in this year was one of the better bigs in the Big Ten, I guess I should say. And I know he's a freshman last year, so I know that's kind of high standard, right? But I thought he was gonna be at least one of the better, right? Because like to me as a coach, it's like you should get better from freshman to sophomore year, from sophomore to junior year, from junior to senior year, right? You're supposed to get better every year. That's kind of how it is, right? Well, whether that jump is drastic, right, or whether that jump is minute, right? It all depends, right, on like how much effort you put in, how much you work for, right? But there should be still some growth in between each year, if that makes sense, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, he's gonna get better. And he was the co-freshman of the year last year, right? So he's gonna get better. So he should be one of the better bigs in the conference. And it just seems like it hasn't worked out that way. And that's what's frustrating too when you have a big like that. And rebounding wise too, like you have Owen Freeman down there. You think you should be able to get some more rebounds than what you do. And that's another frustrating thing too, right? With having him down there. And I get you don't really have no size behind him, but you thought Trevor was gonna be, I know you said this at the beginning, you thought Trevor was gonna be a solid rebounder. And I don't think he's really been as solid a rebounder as we thought. And obviously he's been hurt at some points too. So let's not count that out, right? But it's just frustrating because like how does a team not understand? How does a Division I Big Ten team not understand how to rebound? Right, you have guys who should understand how to rebound and should know the importance of rebounding, right? Because you're giving them second chances. You kick out threes on a rebound, or they put it back up and get a paint touch, right, and get a layup off of it, and maybe even draw a foul and get a free throw off of it, right? Because the more chances you give them, the more chances you have of hitting that three or getting a paint touch, right? And that's just what's frustrating about it.
James, appreciate you being here, sir.
Yep. I'll talk to you later.
Always
and
enjoy hearing from you.
I'll probably be on tomorrow to talk to Don for a little bit, but enjoy your night. And
you too.
No matter what, I'll always be a Hawks fan. It's just frustrating to see because you know how hard some of these kids work, and I know it doesn't seem like it, especially Dix. I feel bad for Dix because he's been playing so well lately, and team just hasn't seemed to be putting it all together. But I know Josh works hard, and hopefully he keeps playing well, and we can find the pieces around him to get going. But I'll talk to you later. Enjoy your night.
Sounds good, sir. Have a good night. Appreciate James being here. Carrie, loving her RTI Threads Cooper DeJean sweatshirt. Folks, check it all out. RTIthreads.com/NIL. We've talked about those apparel lines. You can check those out. RTI Threads, a proud sponsor of this show. Tom is with us. Tom, I saved the best for last here, buddy. How are you going to send us into the midnight hour? Because I'm going to bed.
All right. Well, Cory, I really don't have much to say tonight. Believe that?
You don't? By the way, how do you say your last name? Bonnickson?
Bonnickson. Yep.
Bonnickson. I got it right. Bonnickson.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Bonnickson. What do you have in the what tasty drink you having this evening, Tom?
It's Busch Light tonight.
Busch Light.
Tuesday night we ran out of Busch Light and we had to end up on the wine bottle cellar, right? But anyway.
All right.
I only watched the first half.
You gave up.
I checked out.
You gave up.
Yeah, did anything happen in the second half?
They gave up 57 in the first and you gave up, didn't you?
Well, I've been hauling manure and moving cattle, and so I had to get all that stuff done. And
by the way,
so then I turned.
I was just say thank you to Vincent. Before the clock hits midnight, thank you, Vincent, for your Cash App donation, folks. If you're interested in supporting the show, you can do so. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chat, all in the description. Thank you, Vincent. Do appreciate it.
So, Cory, I don't want to. I'm going to come on here tonight. I'm going to be a Fran McCaffrey defender, even though I'm not a fan, right?
Great. Defend away, Tom.
I think if you look at his history,
you think he's great, don't you? You love Fran McCaffrey.
I don't
You
like
love Fran McCaffrey, don't you?
Well, what are you going to get that's any better?
Right.
So he's had 1 year out of 14 that he wasn't in a tournament.
He's the best out there, Tom.
He's had 4 seasons in the NIT, and he's had 9 in the NCAA tournament, right?
Okay, sure. I can't verify those stats off the top of my head, but sure.
That's what I pulled up. Okay.
Okay.
I hope this is like the 2018-19 Hawks when they lost the first 3 Big Ten games of the year in 2018 and 19. And then they went on a winning spree. And then they were a dog at the end of the year in the Big Ten.
Yes, you hope. You hope they're a dog at the end of the year.
Well, whatever. They need to start winning. Okay?
Yeah.
But I gave up on them after they beat. They were like 0-3, and I gave up on them.
I've never seen a team, a Fran coach team, do what they've been doing defensively for a stretch of 3 straight road games. I've never seen that. I've seen them be bad. I saw them give up over 100 to Indiana. I've seen them give up over 100 at Minnesota. I've never seen them do it 3 times in a row to this extent. I've never seen that.
Well, they didn't even cut the second half lead down, did they?
They did actually down a little bit. It was like 35 at one point. They were down like 35.
At least the other night they cut it to 5. Against USC, they cut it to 5.
Yeah, that make you sleep better at night, Tom?
No.
Final, let's see. Final largest lead of the game for the Hawks or the Bruins tonight was 36. UCLA was up by 36, so Iowa actually did chip into that lead a little bit.
I hope Iowa brings Fran back and he gets beat by 35 every game next year. That would really make me really, really happy.
Okay. All right. I think it's time to go, Tom. Tom, the clock struck midnight. The clock struck midnight. It's good to see you, sir. Oh, he's gone. All right. Well, Tom, love you. Appreciate everybody being here. Folks, support our sponsors. Hit the like button on your way out. Support if you'd like to by means of Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. If you're interested in sponsorship, I'll throw the email up on the bottom of your screen. info@fromthehawkeyeofthestorm.com. That's info@fromthehawkeyeofthestorm.com. Shop Amazon with us. Shop our apparel line. Share the show out on social media and tell your friends. Word of mouth is very powerful. Folks, I'll be with you live tomorrow. I previewed that, teased that earlier in the day. Follow me on social media for more details. But live tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Central Time with Coach Patterson as we talk national championship, college football national championship game, and the latest with Mark Gronowski, Sam Phillips, and Iowa football. Tomorrow, Saturday, the 18th, actually today, because it's 12:03 a.m. now, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll talk to you in about 13 and a half hours. Have a great night, folks, and we'll talk to you soon.